Bada bing, bada boom. Let's go. We got a huge fight week. It's Chito main event fight week, ladies and gentlemen. Last week we did pretty good. Top parlay cashed. I think it was around plus 590 thanks to the Goosey man down below. Let's go. Props where they're due. We're going to break this card down from the bottom to the top. We're at the apex. Let's get after it. All right. First fight of the night. I have no idea why they made this the first fight of the night. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. Because they don't want anybody to fucking see it. All right. It's Chase Sherman and it's Alexander Romanov. The odds on this are skewed, man. Minus 2,500 for Romanov and plus 1,200 for Chase Sherman. Very disrespectful. I don't think that it should be this high, but I am not going to even think about touching it because when numbers get this high, something's going to happen that nobody knows, right? Maybe Chase Sherman 15-9. He just came off contract negotiations. He was thinking about going somewhere else. He lands back at the UFC. Romanov 15-0. This guy is a menace. Rumor out, this guy looks better than ever right now. Apparently his conditioning, his structure, his physique is like on point to the max. So I'm scared to see what Romanov's going to do. I'm a fan of Chase Sherman, so I'm hoping that he can maybe do something, but tough looks. Let's go Goose off rip.
Yeah. I'm not going to say too much about this fight. Okay, Chase Sherman, you made me look like shit last time I picked you, so I'm not going to say anything about you because I have nothing nice to say. And I think Alexander Romanov's a good fighter. I'm going to pick him. He's going to get it done early, probably by sub. So that's what I got.
These are the facts. Dano.
Not much to be said about this fight. I think Romanov's a stud, and I think he was a stud in his prior fights when he was a bit tubbier and a bit bigger, but last week when they weighed in, he came in on the scale and he had some abs. He looked good. Like he looks ready to go. So I think bad news for Chase Sherman. I'm going inside the distance Romanov.
Let's go. Fish.
Yep. I mean, this is one of those fights where I think the UFC just deals a fighter a shit stick. Sherman was just cut, re-signed four-fight deal, and they feed him to Romanov. I'm going with a sub, probably round 1, round 2, early, but I'm taking a sub, Romanov.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at the lines on that one, but let's move on to the next one. We got some exciting action coming out of China. Tatsuro Taira, 10-0, flyweight, versus Carlos Candelario, 8-1. This is the first fighter to ever lose on the Contender Series and still get a contract, if you remember that. Interesting, Dana White did not agree with the judges that night, decided to award Carlos his contract. It was a good fight. It was a good scrap. So here we go. We got Carlos, who has good wrestling, decent wrestling, pretty good hands. I'd say his boxing's up to par, versus Tatsuro Taira. I'm saying his name wrong, but it's okay. You know what I'm saying. This guy is a ground wizard. All right. You go to his Tapology, you scroll down. He's about 10, 12-0 amateur, most subs. You go to his pro results. He's 10-0 now. He's just subbing everybody he's fighting. So main concerns, obviously, off rip. Can he get this fight to the mat? Is his stand-up good enough to hang around for 3 rounds? These are the questions I have. The line is favored for him. I think he sits around minus 300. So that's a gamble that, some people will be willing to take. There's not as much tape out there on him. He's not really solidified, but I think he'll be good for it. Good for a sub somewhere in this fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if Carlos pulls something out. This is a fight I'm going to stay away from. So I think Carlos has a chance, but Taira should sub him in this fight. So I'm going to stay away from this one. Let's go Fish.
Yeah, so Tatsuro Taira, young dude, 22 years old. He was in Japan doing Shudo. But this dude, I'm going to go with him. Like you said, he's got gillies, rear naked chokes, triangles. And Carlos came off the Contender Series, split decision loss to Victor Altamirano. But Carlos, 2 knockout. They both have never been finished, but I think our Japanese fighter here is just a little bit more of a finisher, so I'm going to ride with him. I think he's going to get the fight to the ground, and if he does, he's a threat. So I'm going to ride with him on that one.
Goose.
Starting off, it was tough to find footage on either of these guys. I know Candelario had his Contender Series, which was a pretty good scrap to learn from, but in terms of Tiara, it was tough to find a lot of film. So a lot of the stuff I'm going off of is just like online stats. But I'm going to pick Tiara in this one. He looks like a 22-year-old young stallion from Japan. That country is fiending to get a star in the UFC right now, and it looks like he could be that guy, especially at flyweight. Having good wrestling is always dominant in that division. And I think we'll see that stay in this one. I'm looking forward to getting my first glimpse at him in live action on Saturday. And I'm going to be riding, what's his, Tatsuro Tiara. He's got Goosey's approval in this one.
Let's go, Dano.
So when I watched Candelario on the Contender Series, I saw someone who was like pretty good all around, but I didn't think he excelled in one specific area. And like that's where I think Tatsuro is going to stand out in this fight, because I think he is a stud on the ground. He's got quick hands on the feet. And Candelario, he just doesn't like fight with a super sense of urgency. All his fights are going late. A lot of decisions, second round submission, decision. So like Tatsuro, if he comes out, steps on the gas a little bit, pushes the pace, I think he's going to have a really good shot in this fight. I'm going to go with Tatsuro.
Let's go. All right, that's that breakdown. We're going to go into the next one. It's a girl's boot. Shanna Young, 7-4, coming out against Gina Mazzani, 7-5. As you know, I don't usually have the longest takes on this one, and I won't again. I'm going to take Gina Mazzani in this fight because I feel like she's going to win for no reason. Let's go, Fishman.
Yeah, so I'm going with Gina. She's averaging in 7 fights in the UFC, she's averaging almost 5 takedowns a bout. So I mean, for me, I think control time in women bouts is a big factor. So I'm probably gonna go Gina decision, and that's how it's gonna be for that one.
Dano.
So I just can't go with Gina Mazzani, and I think her stand-up game is just so below par, subpar. Her last fight, I think it was her last fight or second to last fight, she fought Cachoeira, and she took her down 4 times in 2 rounds and ended up getting knocked out. So I think if Shanna Young can keep this fight on the feet, I think Mazzani, even though she can take down Shanna Young, I don't think that she's going to have the ability to hold her there, as we saw Cachoeira got up from all those takedowns. So I think it's going to be what can Shanna Young do this fight? Can she get up and can she stay at range? And I think it's going to happen. And Mazzani's not, like I said, not the best on the feet, and she's not the best at taking punches. So maybe a late round finish from Shanna is in play, but I'm just gonna pick Young.
Let's go, Goosey.
Yeah. You play this fight out on paper, let the statistics run with it. You're probably getting a Gina Mazzani 30-27 decision, most likely getting the takedowns and laying on top. But you don't do the fights on paper, and I'm picking Shanna Young. I think she'll have the edge on the feet. And, if women's MMA fights do not always go as predicted, there's always seems like something's going crazy. And underdog money, 83% of Tapology is on Gina Mazzani. I think that's a recipe for disaster. I'm going to take Shanna Young.
Yeah, won't have many stakes in this one. That's a fact. We're going to move on to the next bout. We got Mike Breeden, 10-4, coming out against Natan Levy. This is going to be a good scrap, man. Natan Levy was supposed to fight a couple weeks back, as we all know. Opponent falls out. He gets pushed back. His body was looking insane. Everybody was talking about it on Instagram because his veins were popping out of his stomach. He's really good, though, man. The guy's got pressure wrestling for days. The guy's got heavy hands. He's got great movement in the octagon. Where it comes down to Mike Breeden is Mike Breeden. I feel like he excels when he can land punches, when his opponents kind of stay in the pocket with him, when they're willing to trade, when they're willing to stand in front of him. I don't think that Natan Levy's going to be about that action per se. I think Natan Levy brings the heat. I think that he gets a lot of takedowns and has a lot of top pressure, a lot of control. I really don't see many ways Mike Breeden wins this fight unless he really like catches him with an overhand or some kind of crazy shot. I see Natan Levy dictating the pace in this fight from the jump and cruising to like a 30-27 decision. So that's my take. Let's go Dano off rip.
Yeah, with Breeden, right? We saw that he was on the Contender Series, lost decision, and then he goes out and gets 2 dubs, one with a TKO head kick and then a decision, right? They give him another call. He comes back to fight Alexander Hernandez and loses first round knockout. So I think, looking at Levy, knowing what Levy's about, even though Levy lost to Rafa Garcia, I feel like Rafa Garcia is a very respectable name. And, of course, if you're going to get into a fight with them, there's a good chance you're going to lose. So I think Levy is just like a different, we talk about different levels of strikers or ground game, whatnot. I think Levy's just like a different level of athlete. And I think, like you said, he's going to be able to show it on the stand up. And then when it goes to the ground, he's really going to be able to show it. So I think, I don't know if a finish is coming, but I'm going to go with Levy.
Yeah. Fish, when you break it down.
Natan Levy pulling for this guy hard, Israeli fighter. But like you said, Rafa Garcia, I think that's one of the worst matchups that he could get is a good striking and a great guy on the ground. So it's like, I think he got just dealt a little bit of a shit hand right there. But with Breeden, I think he gets the job done. Breeden coming off the loss to Hernandez, I think Levy's got that same type of twitchy, fast twitch muscles. He's got great kicks, and I think he keeps the distance good. And I think he, like you said, I think a decision's more likely than a finish, but you never know. He might just clap him with a kick, but we'll see. Super excited for this fight. But
yeah, he's minus 220. Goose.
We got a sweep, fellas. I am going with Natan Levy. I like the leg kicks. I think he's got good pop and pretty good wrestling. I think he's just gonna be able to grind out Breeden in this one. You look at Breeden, he's his best win is against Brandon Jenkins, who, I mean, he's a decent fighter, but that's nothing to write home about. And then he came out and looked pretty bad against Alexander Hernandez in his debut. I think Natan Levy falls somewhere in between there, more so on the Alexander Hernandez side of it versus the other. And I think he'll be able to get the win in this one.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to move on to the next one. This is a really good fight. We got Johan Lennes coming out of Canada, 8-0, fresh out of the Contender Series as well. First round knockout against Gabe Green, 10-3. Everyone knows Gabe Green. Clean hands. D-Rod couldn't put him down, as Goose wanted to highlight very, 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 ecstatically. All right, so Johan off rip. This guy's an animal, bro. This is one of the biggest frames you're going to see in this division. This guy's a beast. He's got heavy hands, but not great technique. He landed that knockout. It was a left hook, but it looked really ugly. But it got the job done, and it was absolutely hard as fuck. His wrestling off rip. So in that matchup on Contender Series, he was coming out against a big jiu-jitsu guy, and he did not give a shit, man. This guy came out and tackled him, held him on the ground, went through about 6 submission attempts, and ended up knocking him out in the feet. So, I mean, this just shows to the mentality of this guy, Johan. He's going to come in, and he's going to have some steam, bro. Like, this guy, you're going to need to put him down. You're going to need to sub him, because if you don't, he's going to be on top of you. Gabe Green, on the other hand, he's really good at playing with that kind of pressure, man. He's really good with the lateral movement. He's really smart about picking his shots. and he knows when to shoot his own takedowns and reverse all this kind of stuff. I've seen him get out of a lot of danger, and I really do trust Gabe Green. That being said, I was coming into this call picking Gabe Green, but I'm going to switch this one. I think that Johan Liness is going to get this W, and I think it's going to be by late round finish, just kind of out dogging him in a way. Gabe Green, though, like I said, I was going to pick him coming in this video. I've kind of just thought about it in my head a couple more times, and I'm going to take the other side. Gabe Green has some complications that people do need to know about. He had a bruised heart. He was out for months. He couldn't train. It was a serious injury. He was in the hospital. Don't know how he's going to bounce back after that. If that did not happen, I would not hesitate to pull the trigger on this because I don't like taking Contender Series guys on their debut, but I'm going to pull the trigger in a weird spot where I feel like it's right. Let's go Goose off rip. He's going to battle me hard.
All right. So Gabe Green, he definitely holds a special place in my heart as he was my first ever prediction as a Geeks member. I picked him to beat Phil Rowe. He went out there and he did it. So I think
throwback.
You look at it here. Johan, if he's going to win, he's probably going to knock him out. But Gabe Green's never been knocked out. He's fought guys like D-Rod, Phil Rowe, like a lot of guys with pop. They haven't been able to do it. So just based off that, I think Gabe Green's going to be able to get this into later rounds, really test that cardio of Johan that throughout his MMA career to this point hasn't really been tested. I saw he's got a bunch of first round finishes and then 2 decision wins. So let's see what he's got through the fire. I'm not writing Johan off, but I don't know if he's ready to get into a scrap with a proven guy in the world's best fighting promotion. So welcome to the show, Johan. Let's see if you got what it takes. I'm picking Gabe Green in this one.
Yeah, I'm willing to admit that this is not a pick I would usually make. It's just very weird circumstances, but let's go Dano.
All right, I'm going with Gabe Green too, and man, I wish he didn't have that, heart condition because who knows what he would have been like without it, and we don't know how he's feeling now, but I think he's going to come out and be a stud in this fight. Liness does throw bombs, but he throws a lot of loopy strikes with a lot of power behind him. So I was just watching a highlight of the Gabe Green D-Rod fight, and they were throwing haymakers. So Gabe Green does have a chin on him. And I feel like, someone who might not be 100% or worried about some in the back of their mind, they might play it safe. And with someone who's throwing a lot of looping strikes, I feel like, instead of exchanging with him, Gabe Green's just going to plant his foot in the ground and take him down. And he's more than capable on the ground. He can sit on top of him and deal damage from top. So I'm going to go with Gabe Green.
Let's go. Fish.
Yeah, I'm also going to ride with Gabe Green, although in the beginning it was tempting for me to go with Johan. I mean, a guy coming out, never been finished, and coming out of Cage Fury 4-0 with 3 knockouts, going on Contender Series, getting a knockout. So it was a little tempting with the underdog money, but I think Gabe Green is the more reliable pick, having fought tougher dudes, D-Rod, Phil Rowe, like you guys said. And there's a hole that we haven't seen possibly in the durability, like Gus said, and in the ground game of Johan that Green has. So I think Green gets the job done here as well.
Let's go. Gabe Green's going to get the spot on the sheet, whether I like it or not. Here we go. We're going to the featured bout of the prelims. We got the brother, the Figueiredo, Francisco, the sniper, 12-4-1, coming out against Daniel Da Silva, who's 11-2. You got 2 Brazilians that love their jiu-jitsu, to say the least. Daniel Da Silva, I think he got to the second round in his debut against Jeff Molina for the first time in his entire fighting career, his last fight. So that just goes to tell you, this guy likes to finish fights early. He does not fuck with the second round because as soon as he got there, he got knocked the fuck out. Figueiredo, on the other hand, he's been the distance. We've seen this guy battle jiu-jitsu guys. We've seen him strike with people. We kind of know what we're getting here. This fight's going to be wild because as much as I played it in my head, I see Figueiredo, weathering the storm in the beginning. But, dude, that storm is legit as fuck, dude. Like, this Da Silva guy, in that Molina fight, you go back and watch that. And if you believe in Jeff Molina and you really know how good Jeff Molina is, then you will appreciate all the attempts that Daniel Da Silva really showed, because he almost had Jeff Molina in about 4 or 5 submission attempts in that fight. I had a Molina ticket. I was sweating like a dog. I was saying to myself, wow, a guy that's a step below Jeff Molina is going to get subbed in a first round against this guy. He's got that kind of put away power. He jumps on backs like you haven't seen before. So the question in this fight to me is, can Figueiredo get out of first round? I'm going to say yeah, because they're smaller guys, and to bank on a first round finish at this kind of weight class would be kind of amateur of me. So I'm going to say that Figueiredo gets out of the first round, even though I'm stating right now that it is going to be an absolute fiesta in round 1, man. These guys are going to be tangled up. But if he gets out of round 1, Figueiredo should be able to really piece him up on the feet. He really slows down this Da Silva guy. So give me Figueiredo in the featured boot. Let's go, Fishman.
Yeah, so in this fight, I kind of see him. It's kind of like dudes that are on the same kind of level. Like they both on the ground. I mean, Figueiredo, he's got his older bro. You know, he's been toughened up. He's been through wars probably. I mean, but Molina, I'm gonna ride with Figgy on this one on the underdog pick. That's what I'm gonna do, because I think he gets the job done. He's got 7 subs. I don't know if he's gonna sub him. So, I mean, he's only been subbed 1 time. He's got ground experience. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the underdog pick on this one.
Yeah, dude, I think Figueiredo is very seasoned, and he's a black belt himself. I mean, no doubt the ground game's going to be the same world for both of them, but there's levels to the game, I believe. Let's go, Goose.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to fade Figgy, hashtag get it going. But just kidding. I think though that Figgy is overrated as a product of his brother's success. You know, I don't think we're looking at him in as high of a light if his brother is not the God of War, Davison Figueiredo here. And then 2, he just had a fight recently scheduled against Jake Headley, that stud, the English stud. He was going to fight on that London card and ended up pulling out on real late notice. And I don't think it was a great excuse. I don't think it was one that Dana would be happy with. And I don't think Dana would give him any favors going into this one. So what does he do? He turns him around against a young stud from Brazil instead of England. And I'm going to take the young stud from Brazil. I think, is it Daniel Da Silva or Daniel Lacerda? Because I'm seeing both when I'm doing the lookups on this. I'm going to say Daniel Da Silva for the purpose of this video. But I think he's going to go in there and get it done over Figgy. You know, he had a rough one out last time. Malcolm Gordon is not the best flyweight, and he was able to get his hand raised against Figgy. So I think the younger, hungrier guys can be able to get it done. Give me Daniel Da Silva.
All right, Dano.
I'm going to go with Daniel Da Silva too. And I'm just not a fan of Figgy's style. Like, I just feel like he makes some bad decisions in some crucial moments that turn the fight. And I think in the Malcolm Gordon fight, there's some times when he really could have took advantage, but he didn't. Malcolm Gordon ended up getting the upper hand. And in the Jerome Rivera fight, there were some moments where Jerome had some good spots of offense, but other than that, Figgy did get the dub there. But with, what is it, Da Silva, right? I just think he's a stud. He's younger. Like you said, a lot of finishes. So can Figgy hold up, and how you think he can? I just can see him putting him away. So I'm just gonna go with Da Silva. I really hope he doesn't gas out, but this could be a big dub for him. Like Goose said, he's got Figgy's got a lot of hype behind him, and I'm not on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're hearing both sides. That's a split right down the middle. One thing I will highlight, though, right before we get off on that featured bout, is that before that whole scramble went to the ground with Molina and Da Silva, he was throwing leg kicks out of hell, brother. This guy threw the hardest leg kicks I've seen in a long time, and he was throwing them on repeat. So, and Figueiredo did not throw any leg kicks against Malcolm Gordon. So that's something to take into consideration. But I think I'm going to keep my pick with Figgy, and you're going to have to find out where we're riding on the Geek Sheet, baby. Tune into the next video for the main card picks. Yeah.
Let's go, baby.